Hello and welcome back. I'm Joseph Hoffman, and in today's lesson, we're going to learn the right hand part for the B section of Clementi's Sonatina in C, the Allegro first movement. Let's get started by checking out the score. All right, let's start with just these first two lines. Pause the video if you need some time to print out your own music, get it ready, draw a box around these certain chords, and then pause the video to identify them, try and figure out what chord it is, write the name of the chord up above, and then press play and we'll look at it together. Okay, what did you get for this chord here in measure 16? We have a B, a D, then another B, and then a G. That's a G major chord. Then up here we have a C, an E flat, another C, then a G. Now remember, whenever you see a fourth, you have to remember that's not going to be root position. At least in a basic major or minor triad, it will never be root position. So let's take this G and put it on top, and now you can see we've got a C minor chord. Now what about this chord down here? We've got a C, an E, a C, and a G. We see a fourth, so we know we have an inversion we're dealing with. So let's take this G, put it on top. And now if we see third, then third, we know we're in root position. So that tells us we're in a C major chord. And then this is the same chord, so another C major chord. Now while we're in these first two lines, let's do a little interval analysis. What interval do you see between these two notes? If you said an octave, you're correct. We go from this high G down to this treble G, back and forth. So we're playing an octave back and forth there. Now what about this harmonic interval? We call it a harmonic interval if they're played at the same time. Can you tell me what interval you see there? That is the interval of a sixth. B on the bottom, G on the top. Now let's finish out with a little more analysis. Okay, 4 more boxes for you. Pause the video and see if you can identify these, and then press play and we'll look at it together. Okay, what did you get here? We've got a middle C, then down a fourth to G, back to middle C, up to E. Is this root position? No, because we've got a fourth. Let's put the G on top and we can see it's a C major chord. What about here? We've got an E, a C, another E, a G, and then a C on top. So once again, if I just leave out that C, we can see we've got a C major triad, and we're just playing it as an arpeggio with an extra C on top. So a C major chord, or arpeggio. And what did we get here? 8 notes going from C to C. All white keys makes that a C major 1 octave scale. So a C major scale, 1 octave. And while we're here, what interval do you see here? We've got a D going where? Up an octave to another D. You might remember this pattern from before. And then another scale going up. We're still using a C major scale, but this time going from E to E. And then another octave from F up to high F. And then what chord do you see here? We've got a G, a C, an E, a G. Well, this G is repeated up here, so I can leave that off, and we can see that's a C major arpeggio. Or you could say a C major broken chord. Let's try to play this on the piano. So, once again, let's use our analysis to help us learn this even faster. We figured out in measure 16 that we're playing a G major chord. Here's my middle C. On your own piano, can you play this as a blocked chord? These are the notes we're going to use. Now we just have to add the rhythm. Ta, ti, ti, ta, ta. Your turn. Good. And then in measure 17, we get a C minor second inversion chord, G, C, E flat. So play that as a block. And then let's turn it into the right rhythm. We have ta, ti, ti, ta. Your turn. Good. Let's go back to measure 16. We have ta, ti, ti, ta, 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 ti, ti, ta. Now your turn. Then we come up the octave to this high G, F, D, E flat, C, ba da 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 dum bum. Now, pause the video and work on measures 16 through 19. And notice, as you go into measure 19, we're crossing finger 3 over to this B natural. All right, so pause the video, work on measures 16 to 19, then press play to go on. Also, please be sure to notice, as you're learning this, the dynamics. We start piano, then it crescendos a little bit. Here's the loudest part, then it decrescendos again. Okay, try to make this sound like an interesting phrase that's telling a story. Now, going on to measure 20, what interval did we say? Here's an octave, right? And it's just going back and forth. Now, if your hand is wide enough to reach an octave, you're just going to kind of rock your hand back and forth, just kind of hold in one position, almost like you're turning the doorknob on a door, but it's a pretty subtle motion. It's just going to kind of rock back and forth. Now, if your hand can't quite reach, you might have to kind of make a little mini rainbow back and forth between those two Gs. And you won't be able to make it as legato, but that's okay. If your hand can't quite reach, you still can do it. You'll just have to kind of arch your way through across that gap. But again, if you can reach, then you'll be able to do it legato and just kind of just rock, kind of like you're turning the handle of a door. Pause the video and just work on that motion for a little bit, that octave between those Gs, and then press play to go on. Now in measure 22, what do we get? We start finger 3 on D, E flat, F, D, F. Now, should we play E here? No. If you want to actually write in a flat in front of that E to remind you, or circle it or something to remember that that is also E flat, da, 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 and then this sixth. And notice this is all under a slur mark or a phrase mark, so play it legato. So going back to measure 20, we have, whoops. Pause the video and work on that section, then press play to go on. Here in measure 24, we're starting with finger 3 on middle C. And remember, we figured out this is a C major second inversion chord, so play this as a blocked chord, please. And then we can just add in the rhythms. Ta, ti, ti, ta, 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 ti, ti, ta. Now your turn. Then we come up the octave. This should seem very familiar. This is just like measures 1 through 4, except we're down an octave lower now. Now, since we've already learned that in the A section, let's keep going. What happens next? In measure 28, we have this chord again, C major second inversion chord. And then we shift up. We're going to have to do not just this root position, but we've got to go up a full octave arpeggio, basically. because of this high C there. So look at this measure. We start with finger 2 on E, ba-da-dum-bum. So it's kind of this arpeggio fingering, but we start on an E. E, C, E, G, C. Now your turn. So going back to measure 28, we get, then notice we have a 5, then switch to finger 3, and that's to give your hand time to be shifting into this arpeggio, this C major 1 octave arpeggio position that we're about to need. So watch that again. We have 3, 1, 3, 5, switch to a 3, so your hand can now be in position for a 2, 1, 2, 3, 5. I believe these fingerings are very important to help your hand get in position for the next measure. So pause the video and work on measures 28 and 29, correct notes and correct fingers, then press play to go on. So the last 2 notes of measure 29, we played G, C, then what's happening here in measure 30? We have a bunch of thirds in a row. Basically, a third steps down to a third, steps down to a third, steps down to a third. But of course we can't play it this way. That's how a baby would do it, right? So we're going to do it 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2. Or maybe I should say the top finger first. So 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. Okay, I want you to follow that fingering carefully. Try it with me. 3, 1, and staccato. 3, 1, then 4, 2, then 3, 1, then 2, 1. And this finger, what it will allow you to do is you only have to move your hand once. Watch, right here on 3, 1, then we move, we shift to 4, 2, then we don't have to move our hand. Look, 3, 1's already ready, and then we don't even really have to move our hand. Our thumb just has to scoot over, and then our thumb can come back for measure 31, okay? So I'd like you to pause the video and practice measures 30 and 31. Follow the fingering carefully and then press play and we'll keep going. Now this section should also feel very familiar to something we did in the A section. This time we're in the key of C though, instead of the G major scale. We have this C major scale, then D up the octave, then another C major scale up the octave. Pause the video now and work on measures 31 through 34, then press play to go on. Now let's look at measure 35. We have a C major arpeggio, but starting on G, then we go up a fourth to C, up a third, up a third. So these are our 4 notes. You're going to use finger 1, 2, 3, 5. Remember, let your hand shift and glide as you do that. Don't try and cover all the notes at the same time. You're going to just shift your hand and kind of rotate your wrist as you play that. Let your wrist stay flexible, not locked in one shape. Right? See that compared to this. This is wrong. See, if my wrist stays in one place the whole time, it's going to add a lot of tension to my fingers. If I let my wrist kind of glide through those notes, that really helps. Now you try. Okay, and then what happens? 4 notes stepping down, and then we go up a 6 to A, and then we step down, step down, step down, step down. Finger 4 has to cross over, step down, step down, step down, step down. Wow, 9 notes in a row stepping down. Da, 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 da. And then here's a pattern similar to something we did earlier. 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1. Remember back in the A section we had that 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1. So this is very similar, except this time the pattern kind of starts on a 1, but then ignore that first G, and then we've got 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, and it ends on the 1. Okay? Now, pause the video and work on measures 35 to the end of the B section, which is the end of this movement, and then press play to go on. Now, this is another one of those sections, measures 35 to the end, that you might want to practice using those repeating notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, dun, 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 and go all the way to the last note, and then play it normal. Another thing you can do is take your metronome, put it on at about, let's say, 144, and just play one note per click. Make sure every note and every fingering is 100% correct. And when you can do that with no missed notes and no missed fingerings, go up a little bit. Turn it up one speed on your metronome, one speed on your metronome, until you can play it really fast. Eventually, you'll have to start doing 2 notes per click because you'll be going so fast. Great work today, learning the right-hand part for the B section of Sonatina in C, first movement. Happy practicing, and see you next time.
Hey, Scuba, want to hear a Star Wars joke?
You know I'm always up for a Star Wars joke.
Okay, how long has Anakin Skywalker been evil?
I don't know.
Since the 6th grade.
6th grade. Okay, here's one. What did Luke say when he took a bite of a cookie made by a Wookiee?
I don't know.
It tastes good, but it's a little chewy.
Okay, one more. What do you call an invisible droid?
I don't know. What?
See-through-PO.
See-through-PO. Hilarious.